The cold was a deadlier enemy than bullets, and soldiers knew it. When men froze in foxholes from the Ardennes to the Eastern Front, they weren't just fighting opposing armies. They were fighting a merciless winter that could shut down fingers, freeze rations solid, and honestly drain morale faster than any artillery barrage. They didn't have generators humming in the background or insulated jackets packed with modern fibres. What they had were scraps, field ingenuity, and a refusal to be defeated by the cold. That's the part history books rarely highlight. Not the battles, but the survival. The quiet fight against winter that kept a soldier alive long enough to face the next day. What makes these methods remarkable is that they weren't luxuries or rare tricks passed through specialized units. They were universal skills used in trenches, ruined villages, forests and camps across Europe. And decades later, these same heating methods still work. Whether the power goes out, your heating fails, or you want to cut down your winter bills, these old battlefield solutions can still deliver warmth with nothing but simple materials and a little resourcefulness. This guide breaks down exactly how frontline troops created heat when there shouldn't have been any, and how you can use those same lessons today with surprising effectiveness. The trench candle trick still delivers reliable heat when fuel is, really scarce. Soldiers on the Eastern Front carried very little, yet they managed to turn empty ration tins into compact heaters capable of warming dugouts and unfreezing meals. They filled cans with melted wax scavenged from leftover candles and lined them with rolled cardboard wicks. These Tommy cookers produced a steady, controlled flame that burned for, hours on end. At home, this same setup is easy to replicate using an ordinary tuna can, scraps of corrugated cardboard, and honestly, just some leftover candle wax. When lit, the result radiates a surprising amount of heat, enough to warm hands, prevent pipes from freezing in a small space, or keep you comfortable during a blackout. It's a small reminder that heat doesn't always require electricity, just chemistry and discipline. Old-world layering remains the most efficient personal heating system ever created. Cold-weather troops learned early on that piling on bulky clothing was, pretty pointless if moisture built up underneath. They perfected a method we now call the three-layer system, built on wool for a base, an insulating mid-layer, and a wind-blocking shell. This wasn't just theory, it was in fact the difference between frostbite and mobility. Indoors, the same strategy can help reduce reliance on home heating. A thermal undershirt under a wool sweater actually creates a personal microclimate, and a lightweight wind-resistant vest traps that warmth without adding weight. Soldiers knew that the moment sweat formed cold would strike hard later. Stay dry, trap heat efficiently, and you'll stay warm even when the room temperature dips far lower than normal. Heated stones provided the most natural and long-lasting night warmth. In trenches and makeshift shelters, soldiers didn't always risk a visible fire. Instead, they heated stones in a low flame, wrapped them in cloth and placed them under blankets or near their boots. You can replicate this at home using smooth river stones warmed at low temperatures in the oven. Wrapped in towels, they retain heat surprisingly well, offering a safe, silent heat source that feels more natural than electronics. This is one of the oldest heating methods known to field troops because it works without smoke, sparks or noise. Field ovens and earth heaters turn dirt and metal into dependable heat. Soldiers built improvised ovens using pits lined with mudstones or scrap tin. With only a few sticks of fuel, these ovens could warm shelters, heat rations and dry clothing without producing light that gave away their position. Today, the same principle applies to backyard emergency cooking through a Dakota fire pit or a small earth oven. Indoors, the concept can be recreated with a thick metal pot filled with sand set over a few tea lights. The sand diffuses and stores heat, recreating the same effect troops used to survive winter nights without drawing attention. Body heat became a controlled resource, not something to waste. When sleeping in frozen trenches, soldiers understood that warmth shared was warmth multiplied. They slept in close formation, wrapped coats together, and used their own body heat to dry damp socks and gloves. This wasn't primitive instinct, it was strategic survival. In an emergency at home, sleeping close to others under layered blankets dramatically increases heat retention. Even when alone, rolling yourself tightly in layered fabrics reduces air gaps and builds a warm pocket of air around your core, the same method soldiers relied on to preserve strength through sub-zero nights. Candle lanterns served as stealth heaters that never gave away a position. A simple candle lantern could raise the temperature inside a tent or small bunker by several degrees. The metal frame absorbed heat and radiated it back out. Troops often placed lanterns behind rocks or reflective surfaces to amplify their effect. The modern version, placing 2 or 3 candles beneath an inverted clay pot with ventilation, works just as effectively. The clay absorbs the heat and releases it slowly, warming a small area without large flames or smoke. Fuel rationing turned tiny fires into all-night heat sources. With limited wood or charcoal, soldiers learned to control burn rates by layering dry and damp materials so flames smouldered instead of flaring. Covering embers with ash reduced oxygen flow and extended burn time. In a modern fireplace or stove, you can use the same approach by adding thicker logs once the fire is established and lightly covering them with ash to slow combustion. Soldiers made one fire last the whole night using nothing but technique, and the same method still stretches heating fuel dramatically today. These heating methods weren't conveniences. They were lifelines built through necessity, tested by war, and proven in some of the harshest winters ever recorded. They remain relevant today for anyone who cares about preparedness or simply wants to understand how people in the past survived conditions that would cripple most modern households. If this deep dive into frontline heating tactics gave you something valuable, make sure to subscribe to Warfront Survival. Share this video with others who appreciate history's forgotten skills and keep exploring the knowledge that kept generations alive when the world went dark and cold.